Bonjour, Kinamagi and Ireland Adishnikas, and welcome to this week's edition of our Week at a Glance videos featuring week 9. We'll begin within our Google Stream. This is accessible to all students using their @sagchipschool.net emails. So you could sit with them to look at newsletters, Week at a Glance videos. You can check out some of the classwork we're doing. So if your student's not feeling well and needs to see a math class, it's right there. Some of these obviously were recorded well, now a few years ago as we were going through the COVID experience. Spelling is accessible to them. We use an online program known as Words Their Way. So students could access this using their own device if they are holding on to a couple things left to finish. You can see our announcements. We do have a stream. Periodically, we'll get a student that will ask to log in when they're not feeling well. That's absolutely okay. Just send me an email. Otherwise, I only really bring it up for math at this point. It's so much easier to use than some of the other tools that I have. We have the resources tab to the Padlet that I've shown you before. Links to our science lessons, some of the important social studies material, tech, and our web materials, along with some culture and language. Let's start with our newsletter today. And this video is designed for release on the 25th, so Friday, which is the last day of the first quarter. So already, and it seems like we just had open house like a few weeks ago, we're at the end of the quarter and we will be having parent-teacher conferences next Wednesday and Thursday. On Wednesday, students were sent home with schedules. If that time does not work for you, please either call the front office or reach out to me and we'll see what we can do to make it easier for you. I do like to meet with all families, and students are also strongly encouraged to attend. As for all the conferences and about guardians and adults and myself, it's about the student, where they've been, and more specifically, where we want to go next. If your student normally attends the after-school program here at Weemaji Quad, they will need to be picked up on Wednesday and Thursday at noon. Speaking of Wednesday and Thursday, Halloween with the 2 half-days will be spread out over 2 days. On Wednesday, our class will be viewing Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I'll have a passive permission slip. And with a passive permission slip, you only need to send it back if your student cannot watch the movie. We've been reading the book in that sprint to finish it now. On Thursday, we'll be trick-or-treating at the tribal entities, and I'll show you the flyer from that real quick. This isn't our flyer, but the one for Andawadan Black Elk Building, so we'll be visiting there. We will also allow for some time that morning to pass out treats if you want to. Students are not required to bring in anything. If you choose to, that's great. If you don't, that's also great. If you do bring in something, we do ask that you bring enough for at least for all 11 students in the 5th grade. Costumes are welcome on Thursday. I would advise not bringing them both days, even though I'm kind of technically doing Halloween over 2 days. Thursday is the day that we'll be traveling. Please keep in mind that, appropriate costumes. We want to avoid cultural appropriation and extreme violence. If you're not sure about a costume, please reach out to the front office. That's what I'd end up doing too. It's not a bad idea if students bring something to carry their candy in, though. If last year is any indication, the trips to Andawan and Black Elk, they do pretty well on the candy end. I do also ask that students keep their candy at home. Do not send it to school on Friday. Otherwise, I reserve the right to sugar them back up and send them back to you at the end of the day. It actually just serves as a distraction, and students are worried about, is anyone touching my candy, or can I get some more candy? And it's just best to avoid it during the day. So please keep the candy at home. Another thing you could do at home is read for 20 minutes a day. Reading is shown to have a very positive academic impact. And it doesn't even need to be school-related materials, as long as they're reading. Now, a little bit of diversity in genres isn't a bad thing, but the key is for them to pick topics and books that they want to read about. Homework is still a piece of our days. And yes, I am aware that that means on Thursday they'll get Halloween homework. I'm sure they'll be loving that next week. It's a short one. I'll make sure of it. A lot of students talk about utilizing the homework lab in the after-school program. That's awesome. I just ask that they make sure that they get it done after they leave the class. Weekly emails, this is more for the people that are looking at a paper copy, wondering why they're not getting to hear my voice every week. Maybe they're the lucky ones, I don't know. In math, we're continuing a chapter on dividing by one-digit divisors. It is a tougher topic. The algorithm for division always kinds of trips up students, and it takes them a little bit of time. But it would also help them if their math fact fluency was, strong. So maybe purchasing a package of multiplication flashcards would be very advantageous for your student. Language arts, we're continuing to look at character development. We also use Words Their Way for spelling, as I mentioned a little bit ago, and writing A to Z is our base of our writing program, although we do other writes that are outside of the program, as we want to encourage students to become authors. In social studies, we'll be moving as we end this quarter into a brief section on civilizations of West Africa. So we'll be learning about Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Mansa Musa, how salt was as valuable as gold. And then we'll be starting to move towards colonization. In science, with the end of this quarter, we've wrapped up our first unit, and we'll be moving into the next one on the water cycle. So look forward to hearing about the bee. Just a reminder, electronics should be kept turned off. They can be put in their lockers. They can be turned into me, or they can be left in the front office. If I find them using them, I will probably take them away. And if it keeps happening, I may ask you to come get them. And then you can see our language for next week. Best I could do with division, break it in two. Water, because of the water cycle, meeting each other, conferences, to ask or beg for it. Found it was a little funny since it's Halloween. And salt, because we'll be covering that in social studies. Finally, for this week's episode, our week 9 learning plan. And you can see that we'll be having a few short stories and reading with learning about Code Talker. You may have seen that before, but it's been really busy and we had to push it off. You can see we're doing a lot more with writing. We'll be looking at voting age as part of next week as we lead into, thankfully, the end of election season. I know you want another 6 months of advertising on every media you own. Math, we're continuing. It'll probably be in the next week after that we'll be looking at the first assessment on division. Social studies, we're looking at the election and at West Africa. You can see we have a quiz on Tuesday. A lot of open spaces on Wednesday and Thursday due to movies and half days and Halloween. Quite literally, the only thing they have to do Thursday is their homework. With all of these events coming up, plus a bunch more after that, such as Picture Day, we will be starting to visit our middle schools with Renaissance in early November. We'll be going to the state capitol and to MSU. It's going to be a very busy month. Anytime you have questions, please reach out to me. There's a Google Voice number if you need a text. That's in the Google Classroom. Also, mireland@sagchip.org is the quickest email. You're welcome to send it at mireland@sagchipschool.net, but the other one comes up faster for me for whatever reason. Please always reach out. Communication is how we help our students succeed together. And without further ado, have a minute of Gijigan, Minwa, Bamapi.